Loud, yes. Okay, so we're not recording. Welcome to the Evolution Working Group meeting on June 3rd, 2020. At the top of our agenda for today is looking at the next metrics release cycle, which is August 1st. And basically that means that we need to release our metrics as a working group by June 24th for the comment period. And so I think for this session, what we want to do is identify those metrics that are in process. It looks to me like code review efficiency is partially developed, so I'm going to mark that in progress. Maintainer response to merge request donation. We don't have a document for that. Issue contributors as a filter on common metric. I'll certainly, it's in progress. I'll put that, and then let's see. I think we have metrics that are developed for merged. Forks has been discussed as a metric in another working group that I'm in. I think risk. So maybe I'm going to say triangulate with risk. And in fact, I have the tab right here. Yes, risk is also working on it for release. So I'll call that in progress, triangulate with risk. And then review comment diversity. Let's see if that's at all developed. Okay, that looks to be one that is in progress. So that would give us 5 metrics to work on for release, which seems to be a nice set. So I have to look at if we have anything marked as release that has changed. Metrics for release. I'm just going to translate this. Does anyone else have a metric in particular that they want to consider for release during this period? Anyone?
No.
Okay, so this is the set of metrics. I'm just seeing if I can create a filter. Oops, that's not the right one. Under a focus area. Why is that clear? In progress. So I want to see in progress. All right, that gives me a nice set that I can copy and paste into our minutes, possibly. Well, that was ugly. Not going to do that. Hang on one second. I'm going to paste it to a text editor. And then escape. I don't know why it won't let me select just the columns. this will work. Yep, okay. These are the ones that I think we will work on for release. And then when it comes to, there's a review duration, so I'll just make a note that those are the ones we're going to work on. There's a review duration metric in common, and we have some more granular metrics here that have been suggested. And last time we discussed possibly making these sub-filters, but the people who were in that discussion are not on this call. So I think we cannot proceed with much more of that discussion. I think we can talk about that these metrics, these are the 5 metrics that we're going to work on for release, and ask if anyone wants to volunteer to take a first crack at drafting these metrics. We will have one more meeting before the review period opens. Does anyone want to take a shot at developing any of these 5 metrics more? I see Anonymous Chinchilla has highlighted.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Vinod. And I will take an action item for this since I'm also in the risk working group. Or are you? Are you?
I think I'm doing it the folks in the risk.
Okay,
I'm not
so
sure. Let me cross check that because I got the email yesterday. Like you assigned it to me. Which one was that? I was not sure.
I wasn't sure which one either. I'll tentatively put you down for that, but if you find that it's not you, make it me.
Okay.
I'll take on. Does anyone want to take on code review efficiency or issue contributors? All right, I'm gonna.
That was pull request duration, not the fork. But I can do the fork. That's fine. I can do these two.
I think the question will be, where does forks belong? And I think it may fit under evolution. So as a member of both groups, I think it may fit in evolution more obviously than it fits in risk. And what risk can do is we're not doing cross-listing yet, but perhaps risk can translate. Why don't you work on the straight up metric here, and with the risk group, we'll work on translating it into a trending kind of a metric, which I think is the main concern for the risk working group is the number of forks as an indicator of risk, which is it's somewhat the same, but I think the trajectory of it is more important in risk. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's I will leave that. Why don't you take it, Vinod, and we'll figure out the working group since we both participate in each working
both the
group.
groups. Yeah.
I'm gonna give Carter one since he's not here. That's what you get for I guess. All right. I assigned it to him. And I think that is kind of where we're at. I don't know if we want to. Do we want to work I guess we have two choices at this juncture. We can, and because a lot of the people on the call are, I mean, I guess, but I don't know, do people want, sometimes on these calls, we actually develop one of the metrics, like we share the Google Doc and work on it together. Do folks want to do that, or do they want to call an end to the call?
Anything.
I'm up for whatever.
We can develop one on this call, maybe.
Yeah. Why don't we look at, let's see if reviews merged closed. I thought, let me remove the filter that I put on this. How do I clear the filter? Turn off filter. There we go. Views merged closed. Oh, we haven't even started that one yet. So that's probably, why don't I just create the Google Doc for it right now?
Hey, Sean. Everybody.
Hey, Carter.
Sorry I'm so late. Time just got away from me.
No problem. I think maybe you're invited under the email address that you've stopped using as well.
I think so.
So I can fix that. I'm glad you showed up. Pull request, comment, diversity. So I'm just creating a new, we thought we would work on, at this point, reviews merged closed. File new document. And this will be reviews merged closed. And now that this exists, I will, I'll share the link, but it actually won't work until I fix the sharing on the link, which I will do right now. Share, change. Anyone with the link can be editor. Okay. That's what I wanted.
Which one did you say we were working on? The
Pull
reviews.
request. Wait a minute. I think I'm on the wrong document. Reviews merged closed. That's why it was already shared correctly. Anyone with the link can edit. I'm going to copy a different link because the link I just sent you to is categorically wrong.
Here it is.
Okay, reviews merged closed. Hopefully this, all right, it looks like it is opened.
What's the thought process of having that in the community growth focus area rather than like the code development activity area?
Basically the pull requests are an indication of a growing contributor base. So the number of pull requests merged and closed is an indicator of growth. And the proportion of pull requests merged and closed are also I think well documented at this point, as having a high relationship to the growth of contributor community. So the more that the higher the percentage of pull requests from outside your core group that are accepted, the greater the likelihood that that person will continue to contribute. So if your first pull request is accepted, you're likely to continue contributing. If it's not, then you are less likely to continue contributing. So I think that's why it's there. Whether or not that is correct, I could not tell you.
Okay.
Um,
It needs a place. So
yeah,
I don't have
yeah,
I don't have a strong opinion of
yeah.
that, but
I
I
mean,
generally thought maybe it would belong in code development activity, but having it here doesn't bother me.
all right. That is good. Das ist gut. So what the question that we're asking, and this is sometimes where other how many contributors? So it's like
Do we want to just work on this freeform style as we usually do? Just kind of go at it for a minute.
yeah. So yeah, for those of you who are new, essentially what we do is we work on the document, kind of edit wherever you want to add things. It's not a centralized process. It's usually perhaps we'll spend about 12 minutes on this, and then kind of talk about it before we get to the end of the meeting, if that is acceptable to all. All right, hearing no bad other comments.
So is this just a ratio of, or is this a count of merged?
So I think it's how many pull requests are merged or closed without merging. And I think the filters are going to be.
Well, that's all of them. Well, oh, sorry, unless they stay open indefinitely.
Right.
But eventually, technically, it would be all of them. But it wouldn't be. Okay, sorry, yeah.
Right. So under filters, Carter, is this where we have I'm just trying to think of filters that I mean, time period. I remember there being a parameter. Is parameters one of those things that's bolded but not a heading?
Yeah.
Yes. What are the others of those?
Let me
take a quick look. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I misspelled parameters. That's
series templates generic. Under implementation, aggregators and parameters.
Under implementation.
Yeah. So aggregators and parameters go right underneath the implementation heading. Those are both just bolded with colons as the subheadings, but filters is its own third level heading. Yeah. And so in the
it's parameters and what was it? Parameters and what?
Aggregators. Yeah. So actually, I kind of want to revisit the question that Kevin had about where it belongs, because in the spreadsheet it says reviews merge / code contribution acceptance, which I don't know if we have contribution acceptance elsewhere. But
contribution acceptance oddly only applies to pull requests.
It does, but the way that you phrased this question, I would argue this is not measuring contribution acceptance, because to me contribution acceptance.
Then you should change the question, because I pulled it out of my butt.
Okay, because I think contribution acceptance to me is how many pull requests were merged versus how many pull requests are not merged, i.e. closed or still open.
Right.
So instead of just being closed, and I think if that's how I would define contribution acceptance, like a contribution acceptance rate, and in that case, I think it would belong here. But I will say, if we do want to keep this question, like answer this question in another metric, I think this question that is currently here would better fit in code development activity, because it is just measuring the how many, not the ratio. So I guess my real question is, are we trying to measure contribution acceptance here, or reviews merged closed, just that number?
I think we should be doing, I think it should be what's in the spreadsheet, because that was the intention when it was created. And I should, if the question that I, again, kind of pulled out of my butt is wrong, then we just need to correct it.
Okay.
So in the spreadsheet, it's community growth. In terms of growth, it's like how many pull requests are merged. It's like aggregation, just a simple aggregation as an indicator of a growth of a community.
I'm still failing to see I know there's kind of an implicit connection to growth here, but it's really not strong. I would for this one, I wouldn't. I don't know that I mean, it's fine living in community growth, but I wouldn't mention community growth in the metric.
Let's see.
I think this is really about the
ratio
ratio, right?
So the ratio, so the way that it's written in the very short description in the spreadsheet, ratio of reviews accepted declined, has been used primarily by people wanting to understand community growth. So Augur has done a number of custom reports for communities, and when this question is asked, it is directly related to community growth. It is not the question that I put in the document draft, but it's the question on the spreadsheet. So I understand what you're saying, Kevin. My only experience, where else are you suggesting it would go? So I mean, there's a really big
probably development activity.
If we're
doing the ratio, I think it's about growth, because we've already got code line changes, code review, iteration, review comments, review response time. It's interesting that code development efficiency has reviews accepted declined in duration.
So
because I think
it could be there too.
Yeah, efficiency is more like if you are comparing it, then it's a efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, Carter, what were you going to say?
So I think my answer to this mainly depends on if we call the metric reviews merged closed, or if we specifically call it contribution acceptance, and focus explicitly on, in the body of in the actual description of the metric, focus on the ratio of merged pull requests, merged reviews, to all non-merged reviews. If we frame it in terms of contribution acceptance, I think it belongs in community growth, because people will associate contribution acceptance, I think, more with community growth. But if we're going to go with reviews merged closed as the name of the metric, yeah, I think it would better be served in efficiency, and it also might just be better served in efficiency in general.
Okay,
now that I think about it.
So Kubernetes has a 75% contribution acceptance ratio.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's true. So I've done the numbers on that.
I know you have, because I've gathered the data for you.
So what does that tell us about the growth of the community?
The way that it's been operationalized in the 3 times people have asked for these in custom reports has been the change in that ratio over time.
Okay.
And usually it's in combination with the duration. So the time to first response and the time to merge close are usually presented alongside, but that's a separate matter. And it is, in the 3 cases we've done it, it is this metric, contribution acceptance rate, the ratio of reviews merged closed, it's always been about community growth. It's always been about wanting to understand community growth. I mean, so, but I don't care what category it's in, but I'm just sharing what I know.
I don't care either. I was just referring to growth in the metric itself. I have to be very, very careful because I think this is a metric that can tell you a few things, and it's not necessarily just about there's a specific case or a way of looking at it where you can look at where it connects to community growth explicitly, but otherwise, I
what
think
explicitly?
Community growth explicitly.
Right.
So I'm just I'm talking about the language within the document rather than the where it belongs. I think
Is contribution acceptance ratio a good name for the metric? Or review acceptance ratio? Because it's really, contribution is a broader term, and acceptance ratio only applies to reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really looking at this is the pull request merge state.
It's percentage merged closed, and the way that people have examined that metric is there's a lot of time series analysis of how that changes, and a lot of relating it to, as I mentioned before, the time to first response and the time to close. In almost all the communities we've looked at, the time to close is longer for things that are not accepted. Like that's pretty consistent. It's similar in most cases for first response as well. So the things that are ultimately accepted usually get a fast response and are quickly merged and accepted. Things that are not merged and accepted are responded to more slowly, allowing for taking bots out of the picture. But sometimes everything gets a pretty quick response. Like there's one case where there's a community culture where everything just gets a fast response. I think if we can agree review acceptance ratio is the name, we could work on the metric, and then at the next meeting, which will be the last meeting before the release period, we can make a final decision on whether or not review acceptance ratio belongs in which category. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so, I like the name. I think review acceptance ratio is fine.
All right. So
put it in
Carter, can you change
yes.
the questions? I think I already added it to the notes review.
Or the
Oh yeah,
make it in. Check it for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So in that case, the question becomes something along the lines of, is it? Are you all hearing an alarm anywhere?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So it's not in my house. If everyone's hearing it, it's not in my house. If
that's me.
No worries. I just want to make sure it wasn't like my phone my phone's in the next room. I try to hide it during calls.
Losing my hearing.
Does this look like the right question, Carter?
1 second. I gotta
all right.
Make sure I put this note. I think we can get rid of merged. The code base I think is redundant. What is the ratio of reviews accepted to? I think once it's accepted, we can say it's merged. So I think acceptance, like the ratio of reviews accepted to reviews closed without being merged. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that gets it to acceptance.
I keep saying pull requests. I have to say reviews. I don't know if my description is particularly good, but I took a stab at it.
You. On open merge. I think that we should use the same language as we do when talking about reviews elsewhere, which is accepted and declined. So
okay, yeah, for sure, we should be consistent.
I think in this case, I'll do this. Open in parentheses accepted, merged, or sorry, no, that's not correct. Open.
Yeah, open is just like not
open.
resolved.
Yeah, merged in parentheses accepted, and then accepted. And then I'm just going to say closed. I think if I just put in parentheses declined, I will get across. And then I'm also going to put links to like the definitions of reviews accepted.
Closed without being merged is an important, I think you have to make that distinction because all accepted merges are closed as well.
Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah, closed, merged. Yeah, I guess closed, closed accepted or fair. Closed declined. I mean, yeah. That's.
I guess in my head, if I think is merging, the closing is implicit in the acceptance. That's just a consequence of how I view it. You're right. That is an important distinction. I added that back in. Close without merge.
What else I would filter on?
I have one concern. Okay, when we talk about accept, we should also say if it is merged yet or not, or we just assume that accepted is the one that are accepted and merged.
Yeah, if it's merged, it's automatically closed.
No, I mean accept. Yeah, because sometimes it is accepted but not yet merged.
Really?
Yeah, so I think you're thinking of different things here. You're thinking of a review where someone goes and reviews a pull request. However, in the language of evolution, a review is synonymous with a pull request. So we actually are talking about pull requests right now.
Okay.
And not the act of reviewing a pull request.
Okay, I got you.
Does anyone disagree with the fact with my suggestion now that the time period, weekly, monthly, annually, can be a parameter and an aggregator, or should it just be an aggregator?
It's a parameter. It's a parameter. Aggregators are your like summing up the number of merge or number of closed.
Right.
But it can be both.
Over the period of time. That is like parameter over the period of time.
Like it's both, because if I'm allowed to say I want to see it monthly, weekly, annually, that's a parameter I would pass into a function, but it is also an aggregator.
So I would say this is a filter, like time period is a filter then.
Well, it's
We have filters, yeah. So
well,
begin and end. So
begin and end date though. That's the period that you're looking at. Like you might want to look at this metric starting 4 years ago up until the current date, or you might want to look 2 years ago to the current date. And the time period is different because it's how do you want it aggregated, and so it's definite time period is definitely an aggregator. And function, I mean, I guess I'm thinking concretely, functionally an auger time period is also a parameter that gets passed in. It's your expression of what aggregator you want to use. And so I guess an auger, I know it can be both. And I don't know if we want to define, I guess I am questioning it because I am grounded in one concrete implementation of our metrics.
I think.
I don't know.
Let me look at what we do in other metrics.
And I'm just going to say we have actually 3 minutes left in this call. So.
I mean, in
yeah,
like
what
in the reviews accepted, it's a parameter. It's just a period of time, which is the start and finish date of the period during which accepted reviews are considered. So it's not under an aggregator.
Do we have a time-based aggregator that's using different language?
I don't like. What do you mean exactly?
Well, like weekly, monthly, annually are pretty common ways that people ask to have things aggregated, and but we're calling that a filter in other metrics.
And well, in this metric, it's a parameter. But what I think would make the most sense to me is to have a parameter. One parameter be the period of time, which is the start. Actually, I don't know if period is the time of the right one, but a start and finish date. Those are parameters, but also a granularity, like weekly, monthly, annually. And you can combine those as parameters, and you have a count aggregator to say between these two dates, if my granularity is weekly, I have this many pull requests accepted, or if it's monthly, I have this many, or yearly. So I think they're parameters, and count is the aggregator, and you combine those two parameters with the count aggregator to get what I think you're trying to get at with time period granularity. So like time period granularity, and then also like time frame, like the date, like
the begin date and end date. And I think where this has become in evolution working group in particular, the history is, and I'm the historian since I've been here from the start, filters I think was initially intended as a section that covered all of this that is now under parameters and aggregators. And so given that we've decided that filters is optional, perhaps the start and end date should go away, and then we don't need a filter section at all. Like it's optional, and I think we've covered everything that would be a filter under parameters and aggregators. And I think we kept filters as an optional thing, mostly for backward compatibility of metrics we'd already published. If I think about what this is actually
your assessment of that is completely accurate.
So we should, okay, so there's no need for the filter section whatsoever on this one. And I'm glad we made that decision. We have, Carter, I'm not sure if you were here, but we identified 5 metrics that we wanted to target for the release, which we have to have finished by June 24th for opening for comments. Mm-hmm. And then there's a comment period of a month. et cetera. August 1st is the targeted release date. If someone's interested in working on a different metric than the ones we identified, I went through this spreadsheet and said, okay, these are the ones that look like work's been done or that we should work on. But if there are others, the whole community is welcome to work on others, and we can incorporate them into our release as well. We're not serving a control function by putting them in the minutes. We are only serving a sort of coordination function. So,
Sean, a quick question. When in progress, is it like open for review or open like for the discussion rounds like we are doing right now?
So yes, what happens is that it's not discussion like we're doing right now. It's actually during the public comment period. For each metric that we are ready to release, we create an issue in GitHub and tag it as a metrics release discussion. And there is a standard block of text that goes into that issue so as people review the metrics that are release candidates, they would make comments in the against the issue that's related to that metric. And as the community addresses those questions, concerns, issues, we will edit the comment that someone made to say that it's addressed, check it out. That's what happens during the public comment period. I suspect, Armstrong, you recall that from previous release periods.
Yes, I was just asking, like, I think I saw like the Excel sheet was saying like in progress. I want to know.
So I changed the state of the 5, possibly 4, if Forks is done in risk, that we're working on for this release to in progress from considering at the beginning of the meeting. I think we have the force function of a release schedule now, and I examined with the group that was here at the start sort of which ones had at least some work done on them or which ones we think are important to release now. But we are not, again, we're not serving a control function. And if there are metrics that you want to propose and that we can incorporate into the spreadsheet, we welcome that contribution.
Okay.
A quick question about the review acceptance ratio metric that we're working on.
Yeah.
So I added the efficiency of the code review process into the objectives as one of the things that it can possibly measure.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
If that's the case, and I do think that's the case, what's the difference between that and code review efficiency, which is another proposed metric? I do believe it belongs in review acceptance ratio because I believe that's a big thing that it can do. It can tell us the efficiency of the process. Are they now the same? Are they now the same metric at that point? Just for different purposes?
They could be, but they could also be. I think code review. So I think code review efficiency includes things like the time to first comment, the time period of review, and then the time of last comment.
Okay, so that's going to be an aggregate metric that includes a bunch of different stuff, and it's probably going to include the review acceptance ratio.
I think the review acceptance ratio will be implicit, but it's the time, the duration of review is, I think, the principal concern, same as review's duration. It may be the same as review's duration.
Maybe it's both. It's review's duration and acceptance.
Yeah, maybe. I think. Who did I assign that to?
Reviews accepted.
So I assigned myself to figure that out. And that's an
Okay.
excellent question. And I'm just going to make a note. How is it related to review acceptance rate and review acceptance ratio? And should it be a parameter? I mean, I don't know. I don't know that. So I think it is bringing together a couple of existing metrics, possibly.
So what do we call that generally? Are those composite metrics or?
I think composite's a good word. I've been using the word synthetic. We have not, like we've built Augur. Augur has what would be described as synthetic metrics inside of it, but we have not done a ton of work defining them in the community. But it looks like we're sort of evolving in that direction where this will be we could use data from other metrics to calculate this one.
I think in some of the other working groups, I think those composite or the synthetic metrics are more common.
Mm-hmm.
In evolution, we generally don't use them that often.
Yeah. But I think that's a historical artifact. I don't think it means that they are not metrics we need to develop.
No, just a general comment is that this is something a little bit new for evolution.
Yeah, and that was, and we're out of time, but and we can have this discussion next time. But there were a number of metrics that were so incredibly granular that we thought perhaps they belonged as filters, and that's this set of red ones down here. So yeah, historically there's been a super granular tendency in evolution, and I think for the next meeting, maybe discuss overall granularity of metrics in evolution. I'll just add that to the agenda item. And I think we are out of time because another working group is going to be on this channel in a few minutes. So I will stop recording.